well to buff up junglers also. That can be your carry if you want to play more of like a mid-game Lulu focus style. Drafting alongside something like a Xin can be very, very effective. TSM, early Nocturne, that should be piloted here by Huni. He has been the go-to guy for this, and this is actually very similar to the composition already that they drafted. I think it was game 1 of the summer split that TSM played, where they beat TL. They played Rumble, they played Nocturne, they played Viego mid, I believe, in that game, and it was one of these 4 melee comps where it's all about going in. So TSM potentially has a chance to run back that trap that they showcased to great effect against TL.
Okay, FlyQuest. I don't think this is actually going to be a Fiddlesticks lock-in. Udyr seems much more likely here, and they will pick that one up. So, of course, Lulu's pretty good at supporting him, able to make it faster, given the extra shields that he needs when he runs in and needs to tank everybody.
I do think, though, and I was going to say, as soon as that got locked, I'm assuming it's support Lulu, and it's going to be with a hyper carry, because it's not going to be that other option. I think if you want to go towards Lulu soul lane, you want to go with a more aggressive, kind of higher damage profile jungler like a Xin.
Yeah.
So with the Udyr locked in, I was assuming Kog, I was assuming Jinx. That is going to be the play here. And TSM has been focusing elsewhere. They have not focused on their bot lane, so FlyQuest will have the opportunity to actually throw down some bans to try to protect what they have drafted for on that bottom side. Of course, TSM can look to attack this in different ways. They've already drafted some really powerful dive here. We are assuming that this is going to be Tristana for Lost. He has been the one piloting this pretty much every time. PowerOfEvil doesn't really go to the Tristana. They could be mixing it up, but it is a champion that A, has good self-peel, B, can actually follow up on a lot of these engages. You can jump forward when your team is diving in, and I'm assuming that's what they really want to craft here.
And she scales up to have powerful range in the late game, right? So you're not as vulnerable to that incredible Bio-Arcane Barrage range advantage that kog'maw has once he becomes that late game juggernaut with the Lulu supporting him. So second half of the ban's rolling out now. TSM removing the set, who is very good at sitting on top of kog'maw and making sure that anybody that goes after him has a bad time. So I understand the ban here.
Yeah, it almost feels like a target towards, you know, a mid lane set or something along those lines. You know, oftentimes you want to play front to back when you're drafting these compositions. So you're thinking, okay, what would FlyQuest go towards that would really help round out that composition? Some engage, perhaps, some solo laners that are going to be able to kind of create that advantage. You know, because FlyQuest is sorely lacking in engage right now.
Right.
You know, I do think that you could go to a traditional tank in the top lane, but has just not really been popular. We've seen like almost no Scion, Ornn, anything like that.
It's very bruiser heavy right now.
Yeah, the bruisers are really just kind of smacking everyone down in the top lane, and a lot of tanks have very poor matchups into them where people are able to itemize into early sustain and just kind of run the lane from there. So it'll be interesting to see where they do find it. Set, Lee Sin, two of the options that do have some engage. Of course, it's not like hard engage per se, but a good flank can help to set things up. And on the other side, FlyQuest going to ban away PowerOfEvil's Orianna, which obviously, you know, is pretty powerful and kind of just a generically strong pick for him.
Yeah.
But also the Nautilus that pairs up well with the Rumble. That's hard CC. That's targeted engage towards this kog'maw that you're going to want to be diving on. Yep. Exactly. So I think that makes a lot of sense. Leona, though, can accomplish similar things, and I think it's one of, if not SwordArt's best champion these days. He has been really, really proficient on it, looking very confident with his engages on this champion. I mean, Johnsun already just has so much stuff to deal with, and maybe FlyQuest won't actually draft engage of their own. When you are looking over at TSM's comp, you know they want to go in, so you can take the other option of just saying, all right, we know you're going to come to us. We're going to draft champions that are good in these short-range skirmishes. If you are attacking into us, if you want to dive onto the cog, you've got to fight through Viego, you've got to fight through the Udyr, and we're going to find out what the top lane would be. Again,
could still be Viego top as well.
It could, yes. I am expecting it to be mid. It seems to be much more popular these days, though, so we'll find out if it's going to be any sort of a curveball, but...
Ooh, the Sylas. Okay, and again, some good ultis to steal away here.
Yeah, and very likely it will be Sylas mid, Viego top now. Of course, you can flex this pretty easily based on the matchup if there is something you're trying to avoid here. We'll find out what the final pick is going to be for TSM, but essentially zero engage over on FlyQuest side, right? So this is kind of what I was talking about, like one of the things where they really struggle to come back in games. Guess what? This is another draft. If you fall behind, how are you supposed to get a pick, right?
Yeah,
like you just don't.
You're not gonna do that.
So you need to play this composition, you know, from a position of power. If you're playing from ahead, if you're first to the objective, TSM will engage onto you. You can take winning fights, but if FlyQuest fall behind early, they don't really have a lot of comeback mechanics besides like, all right, turtle in the base, pray kog'maw carries us late. Whereas TSM, have some pretty aggressive lanes. You've got Leona, Rumble, Nocturne, all flying in there, starting off the fights. You've got double marksman to back that up. We saw a nice segment from Primal and Dash earlier on the desk talking about PowerOfEvil and his Lucian and some of the ways that they've utilized it or failed to utilize it.
Yep.
Something I personally would like to see and that they talked about as well is just kind of aggression from the Lucian. If you're going to pick for a Lucian, support the champion. It really is a champion that can dominate lanes, can excel when playing from ahead, but you've got to be willing to play aggressive to get the maximum advantages, right?
And you have to have your team playing around you to play aggressive and not just be running it down.
Yes, sir. And so we want to see SwordArt roaming up there. Tristana is a champion that can stay relatively safe. You have self-peel. Get SwordArt up towards that mid lane. Get Spica supporting PoE as well so he can play aggressively, so we can make the most out of what will be a range versus melee matchup, extend the advantage, and really take over a game. Because it's been nice to see PowerOfEvil kind of expanding the styles that he is playing. We saw Viego game 1. He's picked up a couple Lucian games. It's not just like control mage duty, because to be honest, that's not really that strong these days. So he's got to expand. And love to see TSM supporting him in doing that, and want to see it in game 2 with how they support him in the lane.
Alrighty, let's see how it shakes out here. And let's see if FlyQuest can contend with TSM. You've already pointed out the draft feels strong if they're ahead. I mean, kog'maw just walking up with all that range, all this protection.
Yeah.
It's like this massive fortress just moving towards you. But if the fortress ain't that massive, man, all of a sudden it's just a trailer coming towards you. And, well, there's not much that's going to do.
Build a castle, but you forgot to put in the door, so they just kind of walk in.
Yeah, everybody's just having a great time. There's no moat, there's no drawbridge, there's no walls, there's just a house.
Yeah.
And the house it's not going to do too great if it doesn't start off on a strong foundation. Johnsun also with the cleanse here up against the Leona. You always expect to see that sort of an option against this champion. FlyQuest will walk towards that enemy jungle, but they don't want to overextend here, as Johnsun is staying very, very safe here in the bottom lane.
He definitely is, and he has to, given that his team showed on topside and cleared out a ward, so the counter invade could be coming. Don't want to do anything too crazy. I thought they were going to commit more to an invade. I always do like to see teams actually trying to, suss out where the Rumble is starting and try to commit to taking away some of the camps, because Rumble has a very weak level 1 as far as, not as far as the clear goes, but as far as actually PvP combat.
You have to spam W, right? Like, you're going to fight him at level 1. Once you go, hey guys, I got my shield and I'm going to run away. You better be scared. It's not the most intimidating thing, but it looks like this time around, FlyQuest won't find any way to interfere with Spica's start of the clear. So, hey, he's off to the races.
Yep, and fair enough. I mean, TSM has a really strong level 1 as well. It's not as though FlyQuest would just stomp him in a fight. If everyone shows up, I think that Leona, Tristana, Lucian, all very proficient at these level 1 plays. Down here on this bottom side, it's so much when you're playing Lulu Cog about your windows of power. It's pretty much all about your W cooldown for kog'maw. When that is up, you shield, you walk forward, you try to get as much poke as possible. Exactly. And then you have to be really careful about the windows where it's on cooldown, because the cooldown is very long early and your power is extremely low. Ooh, don't like Licorice really going back in with that Fear Tether about to proc, but does end up making the trade okay. He very clearly wanted to contest the push. Unfortunately, Huni's going to get it in anyway, and does have the additional sustain here. So Licorice will have to be a little bit careful about how much damage he is taking. And it's going to be exciting bot lane, because it's one of those things where it's like the way you win Lulu Cog lanes is by playing aggressive, getting in their face and poking them down to the point where they can engage.
Right.
But guess what that puts you at risk of having happen when you're walking forward is they can jump on you. And they've done a good job of actually keeping Lost away from the wave. Like, this is a massive wave. There's no threat of TSM engaging, because you would get slaughtered by that many minions.
The minions just alone are going to do more damage than like the Lulu would be able to ever. Or Cog, even if he doesn't have W up.
Exactly.
Like, there's a lot of power in those. Spica will invade the top side of the FlyQuest jungle. However, seeing that the blue buff and the Gromp are both already gone, he does not want to overextend towards that wolf that we know that JoseDeodo is clearing out right now. But with Jose walking into the top side river, he will not be there in time to fight for the crab.
Oh, and now they're going to be a little bit worried about a potential dive. Jose is concerned about this here too. He is moving quickly up there. Now it's just a question of, can FlyQuest actually get back to the tower?
Okay, they're going in. Viego's about to die here at the very start. That was not what they needed. Flash over the wall from Spica is too late. TSM, they end up losing both, and it works out for FlyQuest.
Nicely done. The TP huge there from Palafox. No counter TP coming through from PowerOfEvil. Would have been kind of far back onto one of his minions, so perhaps didn't feel like he could actually have an effect in that fight. And this does again allow FlyQuest bot lane to get aggressive here. They see everyone scrapping on the top side. They're gonna go in. But though FlyQuest come out ahead, it's not as much as you would expect with the 2-to-1 kills because Viego's losing all the farm, right?
Yeah.
He's getting zoned off early. He's also down on health, and he's already level 3. So to be honest, Licorice went this too early. Yep. He would have had to wait a little bit longer. Of course, if you wait too long, then the TP comes through, they just back off, and you wasted your TP. So he did have to commit to the fight. Unfortunately for him, he loses a lot of that farm. Palafox, though, will be able to pick up some of that. You can see the CS advantages are going to be pretty nice for the TSM solo lanes. PowerOfEvil not moving and in playing in an advantageous matchup. Not only is he already 12 CS, 2 full waves ahead, he's got more to farm. So the minion advantage will be big, but you love to see how FlyQuest's bottom lane is playing this out. It's not resulting in an enormous CS advantage just yet, but they are showing that Lulu is not just about the late game. It's actually a very powerful 2v2, as long as you know where the jungler is. Because when you're stepping forward for these types of aggressive plays, again, you're really at risk of being engaged upon.
Yeah. If they end up having Spica there at the wrong time, things just go very bad, very fast. PowerOfEvil getting jumped on here by Palafox in the mid lane. Now, of course, despite the fact that PowerOfEvil has this farm advantage, despite the fact that he's built up this extra money in terms of just being here for more waves, he hasn't shopped yet. His opponent was able to go back to base, shop, come back. He's got the Kindle Gem. He's got the level 1 boots, all of that. PowerOfEvil's still sitting here on Doran's Blade and a cookie. So his trading's not going to be the most effective, as Huni is pretty far forward here. Going to find himself in the middle of 3 different players from FlyQuest. He's already dead. The TP comes in from PowerOfEvil, but it's not in time, and Huni just gives over some free money.
Yeah,
Licorice, this is not good. That was... Not a fan of that one, having to flash out there, just staying around too long.
Yeah, I think he just kind of underestimated, how much danger he could be in, and now they can actually set up a dive. They're TPing in on him. He's low health. He's being pushed in on. Huni may be close to level 6. If he hits 6, Licorice is for sure just dead.
Oh, but SwordArt's now in trouble. He's the one getting jumped on. Palafox with the stolen Leona ulti from a level 4 Leona. That feels the worst, but it doesn't feel as bad as this. Spica grabbing another kill on Licorice, and look at all the minions he's going to lose now, too.
That is brutal. Despite the fact that they trade kills, it is not an even trade. SwordArt goes down, but you lose so many minions on the top side. You lose 2 plates. Licorice dies again, and he is going to be pretty screwed in this game. It is worth mentioning that Viego, even from really far behind, can still have value, because as long as your team gets a kill, you just become someone better, right?
Yeah.
You're just a sack of garbage at this point, but if your team can kill off someone that's, a Lamborghini, well, all of a sudden you're in the driver's seat, baby.
It's called a garbage can, not a garbage can not. Even if you're having a bad game, it don't mean that you can't climb out of that
positivity
to the game. Exactly, my friend. There's that world champion mental we're talking about. That's what we're talking about. So Licorice has quite a hill to climb here in this game, but we'll see if he can make that happen here with the rest of the team. They have secured the first Drake for themselves now as well, so 1 Infernal Drake to nothing. You can see the levels up on the left side of your screen right now. It's Palafox and PowerOfEvil at the top there. Licorice pretty far down, but still has the level 6, which is very important. Not only does it give you the extra execution and dueling power, it's also an escape.
Yep, he's got some nice shoes. He's got that going for him too. All right, well, here's that earlier pick, SwordArt. Trying to match the roam. He knew that a lot of people were heading up towards the top side, so they do get this kill. This is off of, a longer sequence of plays. The initial play was very good for FlyQuest, where Palafox is on the roam up. They catch Huni out. But then Licorice just stayed around too long. I think what his read was that immediately after they got a kill, Spica were retreating to his jungle. PowerOfEvil will be heading back to mid lane. It was a poor read, so he lost not only his flash, but he lost about 60–70% of his health trying to get back to the tower. And when that happens, there's just no way to survive the dive. So gets punished once more.
And now FlyQuest will look to grab themselves another neutral objective. The gold's still very close here between the teams, so everything helps, everything matters here. They're rotating the bodies over towards the Herald to try to commit for this, but with TSM doing the same, FlyQuest decide to back away instead of over-indexing on this. It might just end up being a free leash here for TSM.
Yeah, it's interesting that FlyQuest still are posturing as though they want to fight for this, but I feel like they're just too late.
Yeah. Jose, he's in here, gets jumped over the Zenith Blade coming out from SwordArt. SwordArt now going to tank a bunch of damage. The Living Artillery comes down and guarantees they got enough damage for JoseDeodo to grab the kill, but now it's going to be a second one. Huni's already dead, and Licorice is approaching from the side. They will not find any more, but FlyQuest with a good punish here against TSM.
Yeah, good punish, but an unforced error. I mean, TSM, they chose that fight. Yep. SwordArt is the one engaging. TSM is looking for the fight. You already got the Herald for free after FlyQuest moved all 5 members up towards that top side. That's not a fight you need, right? You know, just back it up, take your free win, continue to farm, continue to press the advantage. Instead, FlyQuest are gifted a fight there. They're going to get plates on the top side as well. And, I mean, Palafox is getting mighty scary here. He's 3-0-3. JoseDeodo is as well. These guys are really getting very strong at this point.
Well, SwordArt and Spica make their way up into the top lane now. Remember, the Leona still not with a solar flare, and he misses the Zenith Blade. SwordArt is not having a good game of League of Legends here today. He will die yet again. JoseDeodo wanted to give the kill over to Johnsun, and that's exactly what FlyQuest will do.
This kog'maw is going to be a problem. FlyQuest getting very far ahead. Yeah, Licorice is not having a fun game, but to be honest, he's just got to minimize his losses at this point. No need to really commit into a fight here.
Okay, he's backing away now. He definitely does not just want to surrender that scuttlecraft, but sometimes you have to err on the side of caution. FlyQuest, however, with another kill being picked up here in the top lane. SwordArt's 0-3-0. Just not a good look for him here in the early game, and FlyQuest are making the most of it.
I mean, TSM was focusing up towards that top side, which was great. They did create advantages. They did put Licorice very far down, but TSM lost the 2v2 straight up pretty hard. And I think that, you know, is less a whiff and more like a bad prediction, right? You're assuming that Johnsun is going to juke one way or the other. I think he made the read that Johnsun would juke up. That was incorrect. As soon as that whiffs, there's no chance of anything happening there. But even if it hits, I think Johnsun is absolutely fine. He had both his summoners. JoseDeodo really had read the play very well. He's sitting right behind their duo lane, and they were expecting that move from TSM. They anticipate it, they answer it well, and FlyQuest are looking really, really good in the early minutes.
And I like seeing that, especially considering the state of the game they played yesterday, right?
Yep.
You touched on it. They got perfect gamed by Cloud9. That's one of those situations where you can't just do a quick 20-minute VOD review and be like, okay, here's what went wrong. There's a lot of things going wrong there, but they're bouncing back wonderfully here, except, I caster cursed it. I'm sorry, poor little Lulu. Spica grabs the kill, and TSM will get their 3rd one of the game.
Rest in peace. Dreams there. His dream of a perfect game is dead. He's going down. And they're going to get this tower as well, so it's actually a very big pick. JoseDeodo's down on the bottom side. I would like to see FlyQuest at the very least grab the dragon to be able to continue that snowball. Again, I talked about the lack of engage that FlyQuest have. You want to be threatening a win condition through the dragons because that forces your opponents to come to you and fight you, right? So they are going to do that. But it does mean for TSM a lot of gold back their way. I mean, this gold is going to be basically back to even, and it was very significantly ahead for FlyQuest. But the kill, the tower, they're almost even going to get the tier 2 here. So really nice pick for TSM, getting a lot more than you would expect from a normal support kill because no one else was on that side of the map to actually back up Johnsun at the tower.
Yeah, and Ocean Soul this time around, when you have this scrappy fighter, already very sustain-heavy front line in Udyr, Viego, and Sylas. There's so much survivability. Grievous Wounds, if it wasn't already demanded just against the composition and the champions themselves, if they get close to an Ocean Soul, it must be online.
I mean, I think it's demanded already, right? You've got Sylas with Conqueror. You have Licorice, who's going to be going, it looks like probably Blade of the Rune King or maybe Shield Bow first. You can see already a Vamp Scepter in for Johnsun. Like, there is going to be a ton of sustain in this, plus the threat of the Ocean Soul. So I do think it's worth someone taking a pit stop to be able to grab an Executioner's there early on. Even just the Kingslayer heal being cut in half can easily be the difference between a kill or not. Licorice here, maybe going down again. They're sneaking around on it.
Okay, Huni's jumping in. Licorice has to use ulti and the flash to get away. He will survive this time, but it is very, very costly.
It is a costly retreat, and there's one thing that you can do. You know, there's that little kind of frame of immunity, I believe, when you're going into the Viego ultimate. Yeah. I have seen people actually just wait a little bit, and you can time that to immune the Nocturne Fear, I do believe. So that is one of those interactions that you can sometimes try to go for, hold on to the flash perhaps, but feeling he needed all of the distance that he could create. The equalizer was behind him, so he used the ult. He has to flash over the equalizer as well. A nice little play here for TSM. They are definitely not laying down in this game, though it is being dictated by FlyQuest. Going to be interesting to see if they feel like they're in a position to fight around this next dragon, because Spica is very, very strong. I'm not sure how close he is to 10. I doubt he'll get 11 before that dragon, but if he could, it would be incredible for them to be able to have your strongest member on that rank 2 ulti.
Plus, it goes back to the compositions and what you were talking about them earlier, right? JoseDeodo going in for the bear slap here on the enemy AD carry. Immediately has to run away because the numbers are not in his favor. But yeah, when you're looking at the compositions, even though FlyQuest has a gold advantage, again, unless FlyQuest is first to the scene, what are they supposed to do? Just run in and face check and hope it doesn't go bad with Leona ready there to make the pick, with Rumble ready there to drop the equalizer? Yeah. It's a pretty tough task.
It is, right? And you can try to circumvent some of the issues by saying, all right, Udyr, you're tanky. Lulu, speed him up, shield him up, face check the brush, right? But it's still very, very dangerous, especially against a team that has this much damage. If you face check in and out Leona, even Udyr could get burst down. So FlyQuest wants to be dictating the pace. They are doing so, looking to take another Herald here. Yep. The second one less valuable, but what I have liked is the evolution where some teams are just taking this second Herald and using it less for the turret damage and more for the pressure of the third dragon. Yeah. If you already have the first two, you grab the Herald, you utilize that to try to threaten. Oh,
boy. And remember, he doesn't have the flash. There we go. He uses the ulti to escape, but they just have too much manpower down here. Spica using the flash to get away from the turret. Make sure it's not a 1-for-1. This is what you want to see from TSM. When they are a little bit behind like this, you want to see the playmaking. It's exactly what they're doing. They continue to bully Licorice, continue to try to keep him out of the game.
I mean, Licorice has been playing weak side and has made some mistakes that have put him further behind than he needs to be. So FlyQuest, though, going to drop the Herald early here, not going to use it for the third dragon because they see a great opportunity now. They will crack this mid lane tier 1, and they will move up towards this top side to try to secure some vision as Palafox is pushing up on the top side, so they're going to grab 2 towers off of it. They do lose 1 tower and the kill, so it's not too bad of a trade for TSM, but again, it's going to become about this next dragon. If FlyQuest can really press the issue here, get the vision set up, that will be huge for them. Because TSM right now is the ones with way more vision on that side of the map. If you look at the FlyQuest bottom jungle, there are like 5-6 wards from TSM here across.
That's a bunch of TSM wards.
Yeah, they got to clear this out, and you got to start early, right? The dragon's up in 55, but around a minute is where you want to go into your own jungle, clear out this early vision, move forward, start kind of creating these multiple lines of defense from which you can then face check forward in towards that pit.
Yeah, and you can see, even though Dreams just used the sweeper there, they still didn't get the wards on the back side of the red pit. They didn't get the one in the brush next to the Raptors either. So that vision still standing tall here for TSM.
And it does mean potentials of a TP flank less relevant due to the composition because Lucian doesn't want to flank and Nocturne doesn't need to. He just kind of ults in anyway. But it is always a concern to have that extra vision there.
Okay, bit of an even trade between Licorice and Huni up here in the top side. Licorice does have that Blade of the Ruined King. You already touched on it a little bit earlier. We've been seeing more defensive builds for Viego in general in pro play compared to solo queue. Not as much of the Kraken Slayer, Blade of the Ruined King, more of the Immortal Shield Bow and defensive items, but Licorice just going for that defensive, or that offensive, excuse me, drain tank power of the Bork in the 1v1 there against the Nocturne.
And it's great in the 1v1, but it's just kind of a question of, like, are you too far behind to actually make anything happen in the 1v1? And that's the read you've got to make. TSM, though, going to be starting up this dragon here. If FlyQuest wants to fight, Licorice has got a TP pretty much now. And
okay, I mean, the TP's coming in, but it feels a little bit late. They're already grabbing the dragon on the side of TSM. Goodbye, or not quite. JoseDeodo staying alive thanks to the wild growth coming out there from the Lulu. Licorice looking for an opportunity to engage here on the flank. Finds a little bit of damage onto Huni. Remember, that Blade of the Ruined King is very good against these health-only builds of Stridebreaker and Sterix like these bruisers like to build. But hey, it's not enough. FlyQuest was not there in time despite the TP, and TSM does a good job stopping the Drake stack.
I mean, it's kind of just the worst of both worlds, right? You know, when I look at, do you challenge Dragon or not? There's 2 appropriate responses. A, be there on time and fight it. B, don't come at all. right?
Yeah, do something else.
The worst is the middle road, where you kind of show up, so you're not really pressuring the side lanes, but also you're not really fully committed to the dragon, so you're kind of late. And in this case, they spent both their TPs. They arrived after the dragon's already killed, and they get no kills, and they get nothing done in the side lanes. So, you know, that is the kind of waffling on plays that can really punish a team, and something that FlyQuest clearly needs to work on. You know, their comms aren't always on point. I mean, they've been dictating the pace of this game. They grabbed the first 2 dragons. If they wanted to fight, they needed to be there, because getting that 3rd dragon now would have been threatening a win condition here at like 23 minutes, right? Yeah. That is really terrifying. The fact that they give this over means TSM has all the time in the world, and they can continue to look for these side lane picks that they've been getting very consistently.
Okay, TSM moving into enemy territory yet again here. Palafox walks it off, does have the stolen equalizer. Wants to bring that one down, but TSM can just walk away from it in time. Doesn't look like FlyQuest will be able to grab anybody here, or maybe? Okay, but TSM's ready. They got the counterattack already prepared to go. The stasis will keep Palafox alive, but he has to flash away. Here comes Huni over the wall, but Huni's all alone, and Huni's down. Palafox is on a rampage, and TSM, man, this game has had a couple of these moments for Huni. What are you doing? You can't be going in that crazy.
Yeah, Palafox, they thought they caught him, and they almost had him down, but he had the stasis available. He stays alive with that stopwatch. That's so valuable because he's got a huge bounty right now.
Oh, and there we go. Nice secure on the red there with a smite from Jose. FlyQuest with that pick on the enemy top laner means that now they have control here for the next 10 seconds or so remaining. It's still only 19 minutes into the game. Death timers aren't terrible, but here's how it started with the stolen equalizer.
Yep, the stolen equalizer got dropped down. Honestly, not that threatening. It looked like it was going to be just a full disengage.
Yeah.
As we're back to live.
Oh,
no stopwatch now.
Okay, there is no way out this time around. He nearly takes Spica with him, but close doesn't count in League of Legends, I'm afraid.
Absolutely not. And that is huge because that's Tristana who gets the shutdown there, and that is the strongest member off the map right now for FlyQuest. So getting Lost back into it. Lost is very far behind. He's over 40 CS down, and Johnsun had a kill plus more assists. So him getting that big shutdown of like 800 gold pretty much closed the gap.
Also, one thing that I do want to point out here, because it's not even the norm anymore. After so many nerfs to Kim Tank and the active was down to 40% move speed, a lot of junglers have opted into the Frostfire Gauntlet instead. JoseDeodo has decided to do the Kim Tank build this game. I like this choice because it's more of a go button in a composition that does not have one.
Exactly. I think you hit the nail on the head there. It's when you're playing comp that really has no options to engage, even if it's not as powerful in most situations, it can be valuable to get that little bit of speed up. But we're also kind of seeing the nerf showcase here, to be honest with you. A lot of times he's popping it, he still can't really close the gap, right? The move speed is just not that insane anymore. Either way, FlyQuest, we'll see if they want to challenge for this next dragon. Still a slight advantage. They have very good scaling on this composition. Pretty strong front line. Kog Lulu is really going to be starting to come online. You can see the 2 items are completed.
Oh, yeah.
So.
Oh, Spica's on the run, but JoseDeodo chasing right after him. Backs up a little bit here with a stolen equalizer, stopping Spica's escape route. But who's really in trouble? Living Artillery comes down, Palafox wanting to go in. Everfrost able to find the lockdown here with Huni swooping in for the counterattack. TSM, they find one. They're about to grab 2, and FlyQuest just goes too deep. The punish is there, and FlyQuest is on the run, having lost both solo laners, and TSM still having a 5-man strong squad. They're into the Baron.
Yeah, that is huge. FlyQuest funneled in there, and the Nocturne ulti was game-changing. Johnsun had no vision to actually get in there and do anything. Now his W is back up. Will he commit to this? He wants to fight.
Oh man, this is going to be such a big moment here. Huni's going forward. Huni will be the first to die. JoseDeodo still alive with a bomb about to explode, but now he's ready to go. FlyQuest with a hero save right there.
And now can they get to the dragon in time? Because the dragon is spawning here. You want to see FlyQuest rushing down there, knowing that these bases are going to have to come through. They are going to be heading over to the dragon pit there. I'm not sure if we'll get a replay, but it also really showcased how different the power level is for kog'maw when you have your W versus when you don't. He actually used it too early in the fight, and then was never really able to auto-attack because he was zoned out by the equalizer and didn't have the bonus range. So Johnsun was very ineffective in that. Then when he finally gets in range, the Nocturne ulti came through and cut off his vision again. So he couldn't actually really contribute whatsoever. But FlyQuest, they hold them off. Here's the initial play. So the W is used just then, right? So it is now on cooldown. As we see them go for this engage, just watch Johnsun throughout the fight. Like, all he's able to do is an AD kog'maw just throwing out ults. He can never get enraged. Zone by the equalizer, then zone by the culling. The W is going to be coming up here pretty shortly, but now you can't see anything. And
he's out of mana
ulti
too.
Comes through. He's out of mana. He has no ability to really contribute, so I do think TSM used that so well, and they are back onto the Baron here. It's going down too slow, though, so FlyQuest will be here in time to fight it. JoseDeodo does have his flash.
Okay. Baron's at 40%. TSM backing away now. Teleport coming in from FlyQuest. Licorice has joined the fight. Once again, it's Palafox with a stolen equalizer. Lands onto a lot of TSM health bars. PowerOfEvil now at half HP, and the rest of the squad backs away.
And it's just to chunk him, because look where Johnsun is. He's already to mid lane, pushing this in. So TSM is cut off. They have no control in their own jungle. Johnsun goes straight back to mid. Really nice set of plays there, back and forth. You know, TSM using their solo laners, using the jungle ultimate as well, zoning with the culling, zoning with the equalizer. You've got to keep kog'maw out of fights, because if kog'maw is free firing, you're losing. That's pretty much just the way the game works, and we saw TSM manage that very well. But then again, FlyQuest off the reset, they go to the dragon, TSM goes to the Baron, and TSM just isn't strong enough to rush down that Baron quickly. And really get that for themselves. So now we are on Soul Point.
And now look at the kog'maw itemization too, because he goes for the Rage Knife to just convert some of the crit into on-hit damage instead, and then he's got Warden's Mail. This reminds me of back in the day when I first met you and you and I became friends, and you showed me, you were like, hey man, when I get Veigar and ARAMs, I just build tank items. I already get a million AP anyway. It's not like they can kill me.
Yeah.
The power of the carry that cannot die.
Here we go.
It doesn't really matter, but it's TSM back into the Baron pit here yet again. FlyQuest will be the ones who have to answer. Despite the fact that TSM have the double mark in the competition, they are not clearing this out super quickly here. SwordArt, however, has already lost a chunk of his HP. JoseDeodo steps forward. He will see that it's about 4,000 HP. Jose's already leading the charge. Equalizer's brought down. Huni swooping into the back line, going after the AD carry, but it will not be enough. Huni's about to die here. Very at the start. Spica's grabbing the Baron. They go back over the wall. Spica's about to die. Huni's already dead now, too. They'll continue looking for more. Lost is at 100 HP. They're still looking for more. Licorice is about to redeem himself. You want to gank this man again? He is going to stomp you into the ground, baby. FlyQuest lose the Baron, but they take the Bud Light Ace.
Licorice taking the souls of everyone who's killed in this game. He's popping off the flank from the Viego. FlyQuest crushing through. TSM unable to get onto Johnsun, and the kog'maw absolutely guts them. They're going to take the game, Flowers.
That's all it takes, man. One good team fight. The Nocturne jumps in on the kog'maw, but not today. They were able to protect the president. They will win themselves this game, and FlyQuest take down TSM.
A really well-played game here from FlyQuest. Such an important win, even just for morale after yesterday, getting perfect game. They come back, they crush through TSM, putting them to another loss here on this second week after their incredibly hot start.
Yeah.
I liked the draft, and I liked how well we actually saw Johnsun, playing in that bot lane on the kog'maw. Him and Dreams looked really good, playing aggressively, taking advantage of the fact that TSM wanted to focus Licorice in the top side. They were dictating that 2v2 so heavily, and he never really felt like he was under threat in the 5v5s. He positioned very well, didn't even have to use the cleanse in a lot of cases because he was positioned so well, and TSM couldn't actually get all the way to the back line to assault this kog'maw.
Yeah, I feel like there were quite a few unforced errors from both sides in this game.
Yep.
In particular, I think SwordArt had a really rough game. I think we saw some errors from both top laners around there. And there was that one fight, like you pointed out, where using his W too early, Johnson's pretty much going RREQ. Okay, guys, I can't do anything else because you don't have the range. But then he made up for it afterwards. That fight at the very end, and it just sort of felt like TSM wasn't in sync this game, because even at that very final fight, everybody else is on the Baron. Huni's saying, all right, guys, I'll buy time. He dives on Kog. One man alone diving into a protect the kog'maw comp, he's just dead instantly.
It's tough, right? And at the same time, it's like, who else are you supposed to ult onto?
Yeah.
Right? Are you supposed to ult onto the front line? Are you going to ult onto the Sylas? Like, there's not really any options. You have to go back line, but if the rest of your team can't get there's nothing happening, right? And, and it felt clear to me that TSM was really feeling the pressure. They felt they had been outscaled. They felt they were losing this game because they just went for a random Baron basically twice in a row.
Yeah, YOLO Baron,
exactly.
25 minutes.
And you only do that when you're like, well, we've lost unless we get Baron. All right, let's go for it, right?
Yeah.
And it felt like that was kind of the situation. For me, the concern is, again, here's another game where, PoE, he laned well, he created an advantage on the Lucian, he's up farm. But then what did he do with it, right? It just doesn't feel like he has the same impact on this that he does when he is playing these control mages that he's so incredibly powerful on, where he can make those game-changing plays. We didn't see him get as active on the map. We saw Palafox losing lane, but then he was everywhere, roaming the top side, roaming the bot side, finding kills, and he really was a guy that was kind of a big X factor there, I think, for FlyQuest.
Yeah, I want to praise Palafox. I think he did an awesome job being involved in all those kills early, the stolen rumble equalizers constantly. Whenever that ulti was available to steal, he was ready to use it for the big team fight moments. The stopwatch up in the top lane that turned things around. Yes, he dies right after, but whatever. Everybody gets one now and then, right? Palafox had an awesome game here on the Sylas, showcased how to use this champion very well, and it was absolutely instrumental in them being able to get to the point where kog'maw can just be kog'maw.
Yeah, and I mean, showcasing the power of the Lulu too, right? This is a first pick Lulu. Blind. TSM wasn't really able to punish it. I'm sure that there's going to be a lot of questions for them coming out of this game. It's like, we put Licorice down. Did it matter?
No.
Should we have been focusing the bot lane instead? Because FlyQuest were creating advantages elsewhere. Of course, Palafox got really fed. JoseDeodo got really fed. Their bot lane's naturally winning that 2v2. They played really well. So FlyQuest, I think, can walk away from this one and be pretty darn proud of the performance they had.
Yep, it was a good look from FlyQuest, and now we've got Licorice on stage with Licorice for our Verizon post.